All right. Okay. Here we are with Yam Karkai. She's a digital illustrator and artist behind the NFT project World of Women. Yam, welcome to the Defiant podcast. It's so great to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, like World of Women instantly caught my eye because it's one of the few NFT projects, especially at the time that it was launched, focusing on women and having only women avatars with art that it just like seemed to be obviously designed by women for women. So I instantly kind of gravitated towards it, and it's the only project I've kind of minted directly. Um, and I was just like lucky to see it on Twitter, and now I proudly wear it as my avatar. So I'm just very curious to know where the project idea came from, and just about you, Yam. If you can start with that, like I'd love to learn more about your background and how you came to the NFT space initially.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for rocking that amazing avatar profile picture for so long. I've noticed. Okay, I guess I will start with me a little bit. Um, so I have a background of many things. I've done a lot of very different, contradictory things in my life, work-wise, from working as a waitress to script writing to being a translator for legal documents and boring things like that, to actually becoming a digital illustrator. So the path has been very crazy and a lot of up and downs, but I finally found my calling, I guess. Um, so I actually entered the NFT space at the beginning of this year. And before that, I was just, living the normal life of a digital illustrator, trying to get clients and do visuals for them, for their websites, for their products, things like that. But as I discovered the exciting things that this NFT thing, which at the time I had no clue what this was really, like, even after reading in the internet, the definition of NFT was very vague and confusing. But once I entered it, I realized that it was really a space full of possibilities for freelancers and for artists that are trying to get the power into their own hands and like build something where they have full control out of it in a way. So for me, it was really exciting, which is why I got in on the first place. I was like, wow, I can sell my art here. And it only depends on how I market myself, how I put myself out there, the effort I put in and the hours I put in into doing this marketing thing, which I was not used to doing before. So I learned a lot about that. And I found a way of putting my art out there, which, full disclosure, I've always drawn women. Like, that's my thing. Main characters in my art pieces are always women from all backgrounds and all skin tones. That's my thing. I don't draw men. I don't draw anything else. So I started selling my art pieces in the NFT space as single edition artworks, which is what we call 101s. And I was lucky enough that it went well for me. But I felt that even though people were connecting with it and I was selling well, I didn't manage to get my message across as well, though, because yeah, I guess you don't reach a broad enough audience when you're selling single edition artworks as if you're doing a big scale project. So one day I was just like having drinks with Raf and with our two friends who are now the co-founders of World of Women. Um, and I had this crazy idea of like, what if we did a collectible project and it was all women avatars and not like animals, right? Which sounded so crazy at the time because it was when the apes were booming and there were the bulls on the block and all of those things. And that's really how it got started. Just a quick conversation.
Um, that's so. I mean, the whole story is so interesting. I mean, first, the fact that you come from a background that has nothing to do with crypto. Like when was like your first, what was your first experience with crypto when you learned about NFTs?
Uh, I guess yes, for real, yes. I mean, I
Mhm.
remember being a teenager or in 2010, and like I did this online job, where you do reviews and they pay you like in a very tiny sum of Bitcoin. So I guess that was my very first touch of crypto, but I didn't understand it at all at the time. But yeah, it was definitely the first time that I really immersed myself into the whole crypto scene for sure.
And that was this year.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And then this conversation with Raf and the other two founders. So there's four co-founders of World of Women.
Yeah. So it's me, Raf, and then we have BBA and Tomai. So Tomai and BBA are the developers. They did the smart contracts and the
Mm.
implementation of the website and everything that you need in order to have a 10K project go smoothly, technically speaking. And as I've said many times, we're lucky that there are friends in real life. So for us, it's really like a great match because we trust each other very much.
How did you all meet?
So actually, yeah, this is more of like Ruff's story, but he used to work in a tech company that was focused in cloud gaming. So they all met at work, and I used to go to like after works with them, and have drinks and stuff like that. So we met several years ago through Ruff's job, actually. Well, Ruff's previous job.
Um, and sorry to pry, is like, how are you related? Is like Raf like a long time friend, or like how did you meet
Oh,
with
okay. Yeah,
him?
sorry. I should have said it up front. Raf and I are a couple, actually.
Oh,
We're a
that's so
couple.
cute.
Yeah, we're like a nerdy crypto couple, and we've been
That's
together
amazing.
for 5 years now. So it's been a while too.
Nice. Well, my husband is also in crypto, so I understand nerdy crypto
Oh, that's so
couples
fun.
as well. Yeah.
I
um,
love that.
okay, so okay, that's awesome. And around when was this? You said this conversation happened around when apes were trending. So what, like May
Yeah.
or so this year?
So before, yeah, yeah, it was like around May. Absolutely,
Mm.
yes. Because we launched on the 27th of July and we started talking about World of Women like 2 months and a half before we launched.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it must have been around there. I just remember that the apes were like, yeah, everywhere. That was like
Yeah,
the main thing.
catching fire. Um, and okay, so you decided to do a collection, like a 10,000 NFT piece collection, because you wanted to get your message across. So what was this message?
Well, so basically, when I started understanding everything about these collectible projects, because as I've said, I was a single edition artist, which you don't necessarily mix both worlds when you're into NFTs. When I started learning about the collectibles, I just realized that I felt very strongly that all of these collectible projects were clearly aimed towards a market that is men. And I just didn't feel like I really connected with any of those because I just felt like they all had this more macho or masculine like message or vibe going on to it. And I just didn't feel like there was any character in there that I felt represented by or that I felt like represented anything about my personality.
Mhm.
Even though I love the art and some of these projects I'm a big fan of, but still I felt like something was missing and that something could be done because I hadn't seen any, like female looking avatar projects. So for me, that was a big thing. And because I was already drawing women, I just thought like, well, maybe I could do this, even though I had never considered that before. But that's really how it kind of happened, just because I saw a problem. Well, what it is for me, a problem, maybe for other people, it's not a problem, and I wanted to do something about it.
Awesome. No, I'm glad you did, and I felt the same way. Like I said in the intro, it wasn't something that I had been really conscious of before when I was looking at all of the NFT projects. Like I really love them, and they're really fun. But yeah, like I hadn't really connected with any of them, and I think to like very like in the same way that I did with like looking at these women profiles. And I think it's because yeah, there was like something missing. And so you mentioned also that you've always drawn women of different kind of skin tones and like types. Can you talk more about that, about kind of the art behind these pieces?
Yeah. So the art behind those pieces, I mean, talking about the art is very abstract because I guess that the process every time you do a piece is completely different, just of how you're approaching it and what parts of the illustration you're starting with. I mean, for me, it really varies. I know that it always starts with a sketch because I like having a sketch as a base, but then it's a whole story and a whole world, like when you start developing those. But I think that what is very clear to me and what has always been clear behind my art pieces is the reason why. Like, people are asking me all the time, Young, come on, why are you only drawing women? Like, don't you want to draw something else? Like, there's so many other things you can draw. Why do you have to draw women all the time? But for me, it's really because I just feel like I want to celebrate women, and I feel very strongly about that. And I want to celebrate women from everywhere, women that look like the women in my family, because we're very mixed. And I just want to see women represented and seen as this strong and like powerful figures. And that's at least what I'm trying to do with my illustrations. I try to always like show an aspect of a woman's life through them. So I guess I guess that's something that's always present.
Very cool. And I know that you're very private about your background, but just for to get like a better idea of like where you come from and your family, if you can just give a general idea of both that and also where you're based now.
Yeah, of course. So I'm based in France right now, in the south of France, because that's where Raf is from. He's French. And as I said, we're a couple. And I grew up in between Europe and the Middle East. So while growing up, I grew up in between two very different worlds and two very different societies and cultures. So that definitely has affected me as a creative person for sure. I always try to sneak in something from the Middle East in my pieces, even if it's very slight, because that feels like home to me.
Wow,
So
nice. So like what yeah, what hints are there from like your Middle Eastern culture?
I mean, in World of Women, there are some pieces of jewelry that, for example, are inspired by like a necklace that my mother wore as a young girl or things like that.
Oh,
So
that's cool.
like, yeah, so I've added a few little details like that because I mean, as I've said before, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to have elements in World of Women that were specific of anyone's culture, just because I wanted it to be very neutral and like
Mhm.
open and like in like that everyone could relate to it. So I didn't want to put anything from my culture specifically or religious things. But there are little things from my private life in there
Interesting.
that are special to me.
Very cool. Um, okay, and then from the initial conversation to execution, that took 2 months. How was the process of like creating art for these like generative pieces? I guess like that's an entirely different process that you'd have to deal with as an illustrator.
Yeah, it's a completely different mindset and a completely different rhythm of working and creating. Because when you're doing this kind of projects, I mean, we didn't have like a specific number of attributes that we knew from the beginning that we wanted, but we had something approximate. So you already know that you're going to do at least like a couple hundreds or more than 100 attributes. So that already like in your mind is like, okay, I'm going to have to organize myself. Like this is not going to be one of these like moments of like, ooh, I'm just going to like draw and see what happens and do this one crazy piece. It's more like, okay, today I better do 10 assets because if I don't do that, like tomorrow I'm going to be like late on things. So definitely you have to organize yourself more and you see it more as a task. Then when you're sitting in front of your computer or your tablet, it's all about creativity and drawing because after all you're drawing things. But for sure, I mean, it's completely different to draw like 27 types of clothing separately and 27 pieces like of hairs. Yeah, I mean, it's like you're decomposing what you would put together in one art piece. So it's really strange at the beginning, but then you get used to it and it's kind of funny. It feels like you're drawing elements for like, I don't know, a doll or or something like this.
Mm,
Uh,
that's
so no,
funny.
but it was fun, but a lot of work and you gotta organize yourself for sure.
Um, how many different assets did you create?
So there's 180 assets, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm not mistaken, but I believe it's 180. And
Mhm.
uh, and yeah, and with several different categories. So there's backgrounds, there's hairstyles, there's face
Mm,
attributes, face elements. There's eyes, eye colors, mouth shapes.
oh my
There's
God.
a lot of different categories. So, and it's funnily enough, some of those categories were actually created more like last minute, just because
Mm,
it kind of made sense from like a creative perspective as well to separate them and not put them in one big category.
mm.
But yeah. It's
Um, how much kind of like reworking had to be done? Like I don't know how easy it is to make all of these assets combine in a way that is kind of beautiful or like it that makes sense. Did you have to kind of redo this at all, or was it you create the 180 assets and that was it?
no, you know, the thing that I always had in mind from the beginning is that every single element that I'm drawing, I have to take into consideration the color combinations that I'm using in each thing to make sure that it's combos that would be working with each other on like regardless of what thing would end up with what thing. So there's a lot of color homework here. Like you really have to think about the combinations and make sure that there isn't anything that if it were to be put together would be hideous. Um, so this is something I always had in mind from the beginning, but either way, I always work with very similar color palettes. So for me, that was not so hard because like there's certain tones that I like working with and I always use. But also of course, there was a whole phase like in the process where it was trying. So basically, we would try and generate like a bunch, right, with the developers and just see what it looked like for us, just to have an example of what it would look like. And then I would see that, oh, there's a necklace that is like 2 millimeters too out. And then you see actually a space in between the neck and the background. So those are things and tests that you have to do just to make sure that everything is in place.
So much work goes into these projects, and it looks like so kind of seamless once they're
Oh,
generated.
and
So.
we went like really crazy, and especially because I've mentioned it before, like I have OCD, so for me it's like really hard. I have to have everything really like
Mm,
exactly like in my mind it's supposed to be. So
mhm.
we had sometimes rounds where we would do like 5,000. Okay, like we would generate 5,000, and I would go through every single one of the 5,000 just to make sure that
Wow.
everything was fine. So that would take like hours and hours and hours. So yeah, we went very far with the checking the things.
Nice. Well, it was worth it. They really are beautiful. Did you have it like formal, like art or like illustration uh, training, or were you more kind of self-taught?
More self-taught. I mean, when I was a child, I always was a very creative kid. And I just remember that always like in classes that were not interesting to me, I would just be drawing or things like that. So like that's something that I've always liked doing. I guess that we've all gone to art classes as a child because your parents send you to do that like after school, but that doesn't really count in my opinion. But no, I didn't really do like an artistic, I don't know, like fine arts college or anything like this. It was just something that I always liked doing and never thought I would do professionally.
Oh, that's awesome. Is were you doing like illustrations professionally before NFTs?
Yeah. So I was, I mean, like everyone struggling to get clients because it was the COVID era of
Mhm.
things. But yeah, definitely, I was trying. I was working with some clients, for example, a makeup or beauty brand, and doing like some illustrations for them for Pride Month, things like that. Um, yeah, my aim, yeah, was completely different before I found NFTs.
So how did your like career or like even life change after finding NFTs?
Well, completely because NFTs, which sounds really crazy because crypto is super volatile. I don't know if that's how you say it, but for
Mhm.
me, it really gave me a sense of security. Like it really changed everything for me because I found a stability in it and also an economical stability. Like, I'm not going to lie, that really gave me an economical stability that I never really felt before because when I was working as a translator, I was a freelancer. And when you're a freelancer, at least in France, you have to find your jobs on your own and you're always depending on, okay, what's going to be my next gig? So you never really know how much money you're going to end up doing every month. So for me, because I was lucky that it worked well for me, the selling NFTs, I really felt like I had an income that was quite stable because I knew I was getting a certain amount of income every month from selling my pieces. And I was actually making money out of something that I absolutely love doing, which I never actually was able to do before. Like I've had the shittiest jobs like in my life. And for me, that was really incredible. It's really a dream.
I mean, what an inspiring story. That's so awesome to hear. So if you can just like give an overview of what of kind of the evolution of a world of women, like when you sold the or like when you first sold the collection, how much did it sell for, and then how has the project evolved since then?
We sold out overnight, which was incredible for us. It was probably the most emotional day of our entire lives. um, so that's how it all started. Then, as it usually happens with these kind of things, you then concentrate yourself very intensively into the socials and your community and everyone that has bought your project. So it was really a moment of engaging with everyone that got into this World of Women family, especially on Discord.
Mm.
And delivering the first roadmap, which is what we were doing the whole time since launch day. So and now that we've basically delivered the first roadmap, because I don't know if you know, but we released the second roadmap last week.
Mm.
Um, so now things have changed a little bit. The first roadmap was like, this is what we're doing right now. We're gonna do this, this, and this. We did that, that, and that. It's done. But now the second roadmap is more long term as well. It's more of a, this is the vision that we have for World of Women, which is that we want it to be this established brand that really
Mm.
bridges the gap in between the digital and the physical world. So this for us is really big right now. This is really what we're working on and concentrating on, which is why in our second roadmap, most of the items have to do with with just that, collaborations with brands or with products in real life to bring real life value to the holders of World of Women, and also getting more women from the outside of the NFT space interested into crypto and NFTs, and see that there's a project here where they might feel represented and seen, and that they can do things here because there's women here that are amazing, like, and there were a lot of women before me doing things that are great, and we just want to show that to people. And same for art galleries, like expos and things like that. Like, we just want to do real life things, just so that it doesn't stay as this separated thing where the people from the surface don't know anything about what's going on here. We just want people to see the opportunity, especially women, and I think this is the best way to do so. So right now, that really is the objective, to continue on building this, and of course bringing more value to our community with airdrops and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Can you go into a bit more detail on kind of what the first and second roadmaps are?
Yes, of course. So I'm just going to open it here so that I don't miss anything. So basically, the first point on our roadmap is really getting World of Women into galleries and expositions around the world, so that people can physically go there with their friends, their family, and they can show them, hey, look, this is what the World of Women is. And like, ideally, it would be great if there would be like a QR code, underneath the image that is being exposed, so that people can navigate into OpenSea and then learn how it works and things like that. That would be a great way of introducing NFTs and World of Women to people. So this is something we're working on right now, and we actually already have some events confirmed. For example, at the end of this month, I will be showcasing my art together with a few World of Women NFTs at the Turkish Art Week in London in the Saatchi Gallery. So that is like really crazy exciting, because it's a very, it's a very well-known gallery, and we're just very happy.
Awesome.
And the second point of the roadmap is actually something that from the beginning we've known that the community wanted, and that this is something that people just like and they want, and it's important to them when they're part of a community, especially collectibles, which is merch. So we're working on creating physical goods for people to be able to represent World of Women better, and just like, show that they're part of this team of World of Women NFTs. So this is something that we're working on, doing limited edition drops of hoodies or T-shirts or things like that. And of course, because we're talking about long term, and World of Women is something that we want to grow as much as possible and get it out there under the eyes of people and the world, we have to grow our team. Because right now we're 4 co-founders. We have a community manager who, she's fantastic. She's doing an incredible job. And we also recently hired 2 licensing agents that are helping us to have these deals in real life with brands and people and such. But we still have to keep growing the team, because we have a lot of ambitions and a lot of things that we want to do. And this is not possible with such a small group of people. Because right now we're all multitasking. Like, I'm an artist at heart, but I'm doing a lot of other things. And like, Raf is a business developer, but he's touching everything, like a little bit of social media and stuff. So we really need to hire people in order to be able to, each one of us, concentrate on our strong points. So that's what we're doing right now. Want to get an assistant for the community manager and someone to do some branding, to take the branding to the next level, things like that. And we just want to continue as well. This is another point in the roadmap, but we want to continue doing collaborations with charities, or just things that are related to charities, in order to keep making an impact on the lives of women and girls around the world. So that's why right now we're going, I can say it in detail because it's going to be announced at the end of the week, but we're doing a collaboration, a very beautiful collaboration with Too Young to Wed, who's a charity that we've actually already donated to because it was part of our first roadmap. But we're doing a very beautiful collaboration with them in order to help girls, especially in Africa. And if for people that don't know about it, but Too Young to Wed focuses on ending child marriage in around the world, especially in the Middle East and in Africa. So for us, that's super important, and it really means a lot to us. So this is something that we're doing and announcing soon. And that's why also we launched the Mother Earth Muses competition, which I don't know if you've heard about, but we launched it several days ago. Actually, several days. It was last week. But the Mother Earth Muses competition is also something that we think is going to help promote diversity and inclusion in a whole new level as far as the NFTs go, because what we're doing is basically a competition in between the World of Women NFTs in order to, at the end, have 8 winners, one from each human skin tone that will be photographed in real life by a female identifying photographer around the world, and with a model that matches the skin color of that World of Women that they were assigned to. And the models will be all sizes, all ages, no matter like what conditions they have. It would be very inclusive and just about like showcasing the beauty of women, like no matter where you come from or who you are. So this series of photographs are going to be put up for auction, and part of the earnings will go to charities and the other part will go to the photographers and the models. And then one part would actually go to the token holder of the WoW that won this competition. So that's going to be really exciting. And I think that... Yeah.
Sorry about that. Just one question on that. Like, how do these NFTs compete? What do you mean by that?
So basically what we did last week at the beginning of the week is that we launched the competition. We said like, hey, you can apply with your World of Women NFT, okay, through a Google form that we created. We want to hear the backstory of your World of Women NFT and why you think she would be a good representative for the World of Women collection as a whole. So people actually got creative and they wrote beautiful, moving or exciting or crazy stories about their World of Women, in order to show why she's a good fit to represent this diverse community. So then what we're doing now, actually what I'm doing is reading all of the stories, and I'm going to select a specific amount, and then this amount of selected World of Women's will be put up for everyone to vote for in a bracket kind of contest. You know, so a bit like in the World Cup that you have like four, and then it goes like that. And at the end, you have like 2 winners. So that's going to be the process that it's going to go through. And this is going to go through a few weeks, and the whole community and also Twitter and everyone like is going to be able to vote. And that's how we're going to include the community into this selection process, which is also very fun because people are going to find out.
How many applications did you get? Like, how many different stories?
We got 250 stories, I think.
Nice.
So, yeah, and some of them are extremely, extremely good. Like, you read them and your eyes don't go away from the screen. So there's a lot of talented people out there.
Maybe you should just like publish all of the stories, even the ones that don't win.
Yeah, you know what? We might do that. I mean, there's so much to read. I don't know if I'm going to manage to choose everything on my own, because I'm like, I always want to choose everybody, but I know that I can't. So yeah, we will have to, still going through them. But that's gonna be very, very exciting and very big. And you know, photography is also something that in the NFT space hasn't boomed as much as illustration and 3D art and stuff. So I think it's a great opportunity as well to show the beauty of the art of photography. And there's a lot of female photographers in the NFT space, lots and lots of them. So yeah, it's a great moment to do that, I think. And I hope that people will fall in love with photography again through the competition.
Yeah. That's so cool. So it sounds like from your roadmap, it sounds like World of Women is really growing into like a business with, like a team and specific roles, and this big vision. I mean, what do you think about this development?
I think it's super exciting, and I think that's what we've wanted since the beginning. Really, we didn't want to do just an NFT project, make some money and then say bye. Okay, we're done. We came, we did, and we left.
Mm-hmm.
We've always wanted to do something with purpose, and that has a long-term lifespan. Like we want World of Women to go as far as possible, because we just think that a lot of women, obviously that there's more men that are buying NFTs than women, because this is just the way it currently is in the NFT space. There's not as many women, and that is something I really want to change, even though I know I can do it on my own. But there are a lot of women supporting World of Women, and that's really important and dear to me. And I just want to take this to a whole new level, so that even more women get into it, or not into World of Women, but just into another project that they connect
Mm-hmm.
with, or just into the NFT space. And I just think that if we make this a serious brand, it's possible, because a lot of people are going to see it.
Awesome.
So it's
Um,
exciting.
so a couple of questions on that. Like, first, why do you think that there are so few women in crypto and in NFTs? So, though I think in NFTs there definitely are even even more women than there are in crypto in
Yeah.
general. I've been in this space for a while now, and you know it's like I have maybe my theories, and I've heard others, but it's hard to come to like a good kind of conclusion. So I love your take, especially from another woman who has just come into this space. Yeah, why do you think that is?
If we really are, I mean, this is again my opinion, but I think that if we really are talking about the core of the problem, I think that what applies to this is the same reason why women are like less present in big tech companies. I mean, it's just a field that we as women have never been told or introduced to as something that we're supposed to be doing. Like when you're growing up as a girl, no one is really encouraging you into working in a big tech company or being into technology and crypto and things like that. Those are not the kind of things that you're guided towards to, and that's just the way it is. So I think that really the root of the problem is a social one. It's just because in society this is the way it is, and also because in society women are in general paid less than men to do the same job. So the income that women and men have is different. And that also affects in the way that women are able to invest in certain things, just because they might not have as much money as their male colleague or as a man on the other side of the world. So these are really big problems that are a social thing. But what I think is that, okay, I cannot change that, okay, from one day to another, because this is something that has been present since human beings exist, this inequality. What we can do as women that are inside of the NFT space is try to make this specific space more friendly and more inclusive towards women. Because if we make projects that are more representative, that are more interesting to women, that where we see ourselves, where we see potential, and where we understand it and feel like we're being heard and seen, then it will be most likely that a woman will be interested in investing in those. Because I just think that also as a girl, when you go out with a group of men or with the friends of your husband that is into crypto, people will most likely tell you, because I've been in the case, oh, it's too complicated. It's too complicated. You don't want to get into that. It's too complex. Like it's boring stuff. Or like, no, you really have to be into it to get it. Like, this is now, it's not how it's supposed to be. Like, we have to make it so that it's easy for people to get into it and not just dismiss people from the outside, especially women, because they haven't heard of it before. Because this is exciting, and yeah, well, that's my 2 cents on the reasons why.
Yeah. So, okay, and then so why do you think it's important both for women to get more involved in both, NFTs, DeFi, or crypto in general, and for the industry to be more diverse?
Well, I think it's important because it is absolutely toxic to have a space where it is completely male dominated, and the percentage of women is almost obsolete. Like, I just don't think that that's healthy. What's healthy is to have a balanced mix. That's what you want in order to have a healthy and a friendly, evolving environment. I mean, I think that just applies to everything, not only in crypto. But then if we're talking about NFTs, I think it's important because I am 100% sure that there's a lot of women around the world that if someone just sat with them and told them the possibilities that they could have by entering this space, they would be like, okay, I'm in, like, I'm gonna try. It's just that I feel like no one is giving us a chance. Like, I heard about NFTs because we happened to have a conversation with someone that was into it. But I'm pretty sure that if it wouldn't have been like that, I would have never found out about it.
And so, why do you think? I mean, yeah, like there are so many. There's so much to gain from being in this space early. So, what kind of opportunities are you seeing specifically for women in NFTs?
Well, first of all, if you're an artist, because that's what I can really talk about, because I'm not a business person, I'm not a tech person, I'm also not like a crypto savvy super expert. But if we're talking about the artistic side of things, if you're a female artist or women identifying artist and you want to do something with your art that doesn't depend on others completely, and where you feel like you're more in control and you kind of decide what you want to do, I think that this is very interesting, because of course that there's a luck factor, okay, of who happened to see your tweet where you were promoting your art piece, right? Of course, there's always a factor of luck, but there's also a factor of you putting the effort into it and growing your brand, because you're a brand. Like, when you're an artist in the NFT space, you're making yourself a brand and your art is becoming something. And I think this is a great space for artists that are nobodies, okay, like in real life, and that don't have like 100K followers on Instagram and stuff like that, to actually become someone that's quite known in the space, and become someone that even if you're not quite known, you are managing to value your art appropriately. Because in real life, you're not going to manage to sell it like that from one day to another. It's just not possible. That's not how things work. When you're selling things in a gallery, there's a whole long process. You're depending on people's yeses or nos. And here it's really you in front of your screen and connecting with people and putting yourself and your art out there. So I just think that's incredibly exciting.
It is really empowering. And then to start wrapping up, I'm interested in your long-term vision on the non-fungible token space in general going forward. Like, where do you see this space going? Do you is something like the metaverse exciting to you? Like, people owning their digital objects in this kind of online world? Is it more about just like having a like digital identity, or like, yeah, like your like long term like big vision for this phase? Like, where do you see it going?
Well, I can say where I wish I saw it going.
Mhm.
I guess that, in my circle and with the people that I've been in touch with or brands that I've spoken to, I am very aware that the reality is that not only us, but also big brands and big names are very interested in getting into the NFT space because they see the value in being there, and because they see that this is a place where things are developing quite quickly and things are ever changing, really. And they also see that it's an early stage of things. So I think that in tech, when it's the early stage of something, people want to get in, and people are realizing that there's opportunity here and that there are also important things occurring. So I really think that it's a matter of time that we're going to see a lot of big people, big names, lots of more people getting into it and doing things. Like, that's for sure. I think it's inevitable if we keep going the way that we're going, which is quite successful. I mean, things are happening really fast, and a lot is happening every day. I just hope that as things are moving this fast and things are changing all the time, we just make this space more equal. That's all I want on the long term. But I definitely see this going places. I mean, but I'm biased as well because I'm into it and I love it and I believe in it. So I guess I'm just a nerd, but
But I mean, yeah, like if you're looking at the space so closely, it makes you biased, but it also, makes you more knowledgeable than people from the outside. And for World of Women, like 10 years from now,
oh
where
my
is the
God.
project?
Impossible to know. We cannot know. I'm just impossible.
A
Never know.
year then.
A year, gosh, also impossible. You know that, like, we started this on the 27th of July, and it feels like World of Women is a year old, and it's not at all. It's like 2 months. Yeah. But like, I guess that my dream is that next year, this time, I don't know, Rihanna would be like a huge fan of World of Women. Nice. And like, these kind of strong, amazing personalities would be endorsing it and like putting the world out there, and just that the NFT space has become this amazing equal place. That would be amazing. But I mean, of course, I would love that a major female figure that is doing something to make the world better. I mean, not necessarily Rihanna, but like just a strong, important woman would have seen us and understood what we want to do and just supported. That would be great. Because I mean, you don't want to depend on celebrities at all. Like, that's not the objective. But it is true that if a powerful figure comes in and promotes this movement for this space, it can be huge. It can change everything.
Right. It can inspire her followers to look at, like, what is this thing, and then it can lead them to then learn about non-fungible tokens, and maybe they will be able to take advantage of all the opportunities that this space has to offer. So I agree. It's exactly. It's like not depending on celebrities, but celebrities are just an amplifier of ideas.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And celebrities have it in their hands to choose what kind of message and projects they want to endorse or support. So it's always nice to see someone that's big supporting something that has a meaning behind it. So that would be great. But I'm just hoping that we're like honestly, the biggest thing that I'm hoping is that next year, this time, absolutely everyone in the community is like head over heels happy and just like super enjoying the whole thing, that everything is perfect and smooth and everyone is rich and like and just loving being part of World of Women, and that we're having a huge real life celebration with everybody like somewhere around the world. That would be great.
I love it. Okay. Well, I'll have to, we'll have to link up a year from now and we'll see where we're at. Maybe it's, what I found is that oftentimes reality has a way to even surpass our wildest dreams. So I'll definitely want to keep the track. We shall see. It was wonderful learning about your story and talking about the future of World of Women. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much as well for inviting me.
All right. And we'll speak in a year,
Yes,
at
let's
least.
do that.